It's a bountiful day in this hollow earth. A beautiful day for a hybrid. Do they shift shape? Boy, I feel great. Spilling coffee. Won't you be my cousin? Oh, shit. Welcome back to the most important meal of the day, y'all. Shrimp for breakfast! It's Monday. I don't know the date. It's September. It's like I don't know. We're in early September. Here we are, Monday morning. We're having a great time. Of course, we brought along our trusty companion, our inspiration, a strong black cup of coffee, yo! Yee-yoo! Let's try it out. Let's get a sip. Oh, you know, we got to get a little gargle on. Oh, yeah, that is the fuel of creativity. And of course, it's soulmate, it's other half, it's better half, and dank homegrown greens. Them dank homegrown greens, y'all. What are we talking about? We can barely make it through the intro today, but it's Monday. We're here. We got the greens. We got that coffee. You know what to do, y'all. Let's get after it. Ee-hoo! Oh, shit. Oh, my Lord. Oh, coming off a strange week yesterday with the eye poke. Wolfie got sick over the weekend. I was afraid I might get sick this week. I was starting to feel sick yesterday, but I'm not going to be having any of that. I got too much to do. I got a lot going on right now. I got projects overlapping. We got to get up on here and connect with y'all. We got to prepare for these workshops coming up. What do you know about the Ghostshrimp Classic Workshop Round 15 starting in October? If you're ready to level up, sign up today, y'all. Let's go. Beautiful blue skies out here. Beautiful sunny day in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. Let's crack a window here. A little chilly out this morning. Probably about 45 when we woke up. Maybe about 50 degrees right now. Some nice little clouds float through the sky. Up in this dream life, y'all. Where my dream life was at. What up, what up, what up? It is the fourth quarter of 2024, y'all. What are we doing? What are the goals? What are we doing this week? What are we doing next week? What are we doing this month? What are we wrapping up this year to have a powerful end of 2024? And of course, start us off for an amazing start in 2025. And of course, if you want to end the year right, we got round 15 of the workshop. And if you want to start the year right, we got round 16 of the workshop. You know what I'm saying? Kicking off in January. So you got two options. If you're not ready yet in October, hit me up. Get a spot for January, y'all. Woo, we got some great questions, y'all. Over, let's see what, on Friday, I asked for some questions. And we got some juicy bangers to dive into today, y'all. All right. Now, also, check out this. This is the Ghostshrimp Challenge. Get up and make that hype breakfast video and send it to me, y'all. I would love to see it. Get in some regalia. Put on your hypest persona. Put on your hypest drip. You know what I'm saying? And jump up on here and do, like, give me a little ghost shrimp, or give me you doing your ultimate hype up. Let's get those hype vids pumping out here, y'all. Let's get this hype culture. Let's get this inspiration. Not just hype. Like, some people think of hype as like, all bluster and no delivery. But you know, your boy's hype is all hype and all delivery, right? Full content, full bodied, 100% legit, right? There is zero fluff in this. This is straight to your don't be's. If you listen to this, this will fuck your mind up so much you're gonna go change your life after watching a few of these videos. You know what I'm saying? As you should, because life is an absolutely magical proposition, and the last place you want to find yourself is uninspired, is bored, is disconnected, is lost in the sense of not knowing where you're going, right? We talk a lot about not being afraid to get lost in the pursuit of your goals, right? Especially as a unique individual, as a pioneer, as a one of one, as we all are, right? We are all related. We are all connected to every form of life out here, but we are also one of ones. It's an insane proposition, right? People go, oh my God, did you know snowflakes? No two are alike. Well, no two of anything is alike, right? Everything is unique. We are especially unique, one of one. And you have an amazing, insane opportunity to live a magical life, to create your own reality, to build your life around all the things you love to do most, right? For me, camping, hiking, biking, swimming, drawing, smoking, hanging with the homies, right? Watching basketball, watching UFC, filling up my cup, feeling so excited every week. This weekend we got the Sphere, Sugar Sean headlining the Sphere. What are we talking about? UFC, let's go! You! Let's fucking go! That's a little juicy banger this weekend. Nothing like sports to get you hyped up. We are bringing that sports level hype to the art game because there's a lack of it, right? A lot of like great quiet reflection, a lot of low-key personalities, a lot of people just doing what they do in quiet, in the shadows. But your boy's in the spotlight, yelling it out, going on the rooftops and trying to rally everybody to come out and fucking show out, right? We need more people coming out and sharing about the creative lifestyle, sharing what it really is to be an artist, sharing what it really means to live that creative destiny that has been laid out in front of you by the art gods. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Think about it. Don't think about it up here. Think about it in here, right? Use that intuition. Use that intuitional compass. You got to envision the dream quest, envision your secret mission to take over your own reality, take it back from the mainstream, rip out all that wiring that school put in your head and fucked you up with, right? I'm listening to an amazing fucking book right now called Weapons of Mass Instruction. If you've never checked it out, check it out. I'm almost done with the audiobook. Blasted through most of it in the first day. Written by a teacher of 30 years, a teacher of the year in New York. And this book came out in maybe 2008, 2009, I think, something like that. And it really breaks down how the industrialists, the billionaires of the Rockefellers and the, Andrew Carnegie's and these rich industrialists deliberately set out to crush the spirit of children through school and turn them into mindless workers, automatons, replaceable parts in their money-making machine, raking in. Give me the dough rake. They raking it in. They really set. I mean, it's human nature, right? But they really went above and beyond and executed a very strategic plan to do this. And when you listen to this book, it lays out what's happened over the last 100 years and how people were much more educated in this country before organized schooling, much more educated, much more capable, knew how to think for themselves. The major problem with school, and y'all heard me rant about this before, is that they do not teach you to think. They teach you to memorize, they teach you to obey, and they teach you to sit down and shut up. And if you don't do that, they let you know exactly what you are. A problem, and you might look something like this guy, right? But we are out here, we are subverting the status quo, always as one of our number one goals. So look out, y'all, who want to get on this subversive fucking ride with me. Ride with me, because it's fun. It's great, and it's for the people. We are for the culture. We are for the people before the profit. The profit always comes, right? People that put money first, it's destructive. If you put passion first, if you put people first, connection first, inspiration first, passion. Yo, call me passion fruit, because I'm passionate about this juicy ass life, y'all. I'm sipping it and I'm dripping it. And you know we be ripping it. Ooh, we fucking humming on this Monday morning, y'all. We haven't even had the edibles yet. All right, but check out the book. It's amazing. It breaks it down from an insider's perspective and really starts to talk about the that you, even if your kids are in school, as mine are right now, that you can still help them understand the purpose of the system so they can get the good out of it without being overly negatively affected by the bad parts of it and the brainwashing of it, right? Kind of letting them see behind the curtain of the Wizard of Oz as they're interacting with them, right? So my kids know that every single day and every single year it's their choice whether they want to go to school or not, and that they can stand up to their teachers and tell them that when their teachers say something disrespectful, to call them out on it and ask to, say that they want to go talk to the administration. So flip it on them, use the system against them, right? Wolfie, we taught Wolfie to do this last year when he was having real problems with an art teacher of all people. Terrible, uncreative art teacher that would not even let the kids do what they wanted to do in art class, which is absolutely insane. And he would call out her inappropriate behavior, her abuse of power, and he would ask to leave the class and go talk to the administration about it. He would go talk to the principal about the teacher's bad behavior. That's what I'm talking about. So educate your kids on how to take control back and not let the system just put them in a hole and grind them into dust, because most people, unfortunately, are broken by the school system. But I was not. I refuse to be broken. I cannot be broken by a school system. And if anything, I broke all these motherfuckers' brains. All these teachers coming through, they did not want to see me. They did not want to see the people that I was hanging with and connecting with, because we drove them batshit crazy. And one of them boys gave me a great question here. My boy at Bill, I don't even know his fucking screen name. He's my best friend from fucking middle school. Billaboa _creative_designs_co. You know him as the boy daddy ball scout. Luke Dubois. Shout out to my man working out there in the OC. Doing the Lord's work, putting it in. He said, here's a few. When I asked for my questions, have you ever thought about how creativity comes into our brains? A recent study on creativity and marijuana use said that most users feel more creative when stoned than they actually are. What do you make of this, and what is your experience with creative blocks? Do you ever get them? All right, this is my boy from middle school. We grew up smoking and drawing together. He was my art companion. We were really, there was a bunch of kids drawing, but me and Luke were really almost like creative counterparts at that time. We had some homies that were in a hip hop groups together and stuff like that, and we would just hang out and draw after school and on sleepovers and drawing comic characters. And he had such a sick style. He still does, but he doesn't unfortunately get to professionally practice it as much as he would like right now, but we're always trying to change that. We're always trying to work on that. When I was just hanging out in Cali with him, we were brainstorming, chewing it up, what his next steps are to get to his creative dream life. He's on this family mission right now. He's got a new baby, new Q baby, little Lukey Jr. All right. So where creativity comes from. Of course, we've thought a lot about this together. I've thought a lot about it on my own as well. I really feel the vibe of the idea of the channeling. I'm talking about the art gods. connecting with the art gods, connecting with the intuition, shutting your conscious upper brain really off or distracting it, right? I smoke so much my brain doesn't know what's going on. I put on audiobooks to distract it so it's looking the other way. So then I can go deep, I can connect with the subconscious, I can bring that stuff up from the depths of my personal mythology ocean and really, let it roll. Like I want to do as little thinking as possible. So, you think of creativity or thoughts or whatever as you sitting there kind of like, generating them. But I really feel like you open yourself up, you clear your mind and open yourself up to the cosmic language of creativity, because I really believe that the universe is like an open source creative brainstorm, like doing all these different multidimensional iterations all the time and like running all these different creative evolution explorations in all these different directions, all the time. So I think it's just a matter of really not thinking, of opening yourself up and letting it flow. So where do they come from? They come from the art gods. They come from however you want to use words to describe it. They come from the cosmic infinite. I know in my soul exactly where they come from, but it's hard to describe in words what that would mean, because also words means different things to everybody. But the longer I practice this every day and the deeper I get into it, the more I really can feel this, it's like you're building a bridge and it started out as like wading across a stream and you're like, whoa, where am I going? And now it's like this giant super highway, freaking bullet train of like this channel between me and the art gods and the universal language of creativity, and the communication channels are just wide open. They're so robust, they're so strong from so much practice. I can really hear it and feel it and taste it and sense it. And it has allowed me to be super patient. Before, I didn't understand that as much, and I would almost get nervous about like, whoa, what am I doing? Where are my ideas? Why haven't I got this idea yet? Why haven't I got this breakthrough yet? And now I've done it long enough to know that is the last thing you want to do. That is now when you're thinking, when you're worried, when you're stressed, you're anxious, talking about creative blocks, that's where those come from, right? Your conscious mind creates the blocks. Your subconscious knows exactly what to do all the time, right? That's why a kid can just sit down and flow. You ever draw with kids, hang out with kids, watch them draw shit? It's crazy. Like drawing is one of those things that a kid can do an insane drawing right out of the rip just because they're channeling. They're open. They're not holding themselves back. They're not thinking what they're supposed to do. They're not thinking about what they should do. They are just in the moment, in the present, having fun, connected with that idea of play and exploration and evolution. They're not like, this is a bad drawing. Kids never say that shit. I guess like once in a while, my daughter would sometimes, if she was really tired and she wanted to draw, she would get frustrated and be like, I can't draw this right now. And I said, Junie, just relax. Just right now you're just tired. So maybe like, do something else, come back to it, and it'll flow, right? But truly, the blocks come from, being stressed, being anxious, what I think of as knots. When you're tied in knots inside, whether it's circumstantial, emotional, obviously, being sick and, this stuff, like if I'm sick or exhausted, if I'm tired, I'll definitely like, I can wake up and just know that like my communication is sort of like severed. I need to be like well rested, hydrated, not distracted. These things, this is where the preparation comes in, right? I talk about, in order to fully engage in the process, you need to have done some preparation first, right? And that's, I think, one of the things that people don't get. They think that their job is just to sit down at the desk and just hold the pencil and just to physically do the actions, but there's so much more to it, right? It's the preparation, it's the mindset, it's being calm, it's being well rested, it's being, you've heard me say this before, being well rested and well hydrated are the two most important parts of creativity, right? To me, the weed part, that's the third element, right? And to me, as my man Luke well knows, weed really saved my life, so I have a very special relationship to weed, and everybody has their own effects, right? Everybody has their own reality, right? We all live in very individualized realities. I think more than we realize how much the world looks and feels and sounds and reacts to us emotionally and all that stuff. I think that is very individual, much more than people give credit for. I think the idea of consensus reality is almost a false premise. And I think we're seeing that now more than ever with how people are just so easily divided, right? You have to work to create a common vision with somebody. It's not just there. But for me, from my experience, and I've done plenty of work with no weed, and I've done plenty of work with weed and THC and CBD or whatever other cannabinoids are up in this wonderful plant. But I think maybe some people are less creative, or feel like they're more creative. Like you said, there's a study, also who did this study, right? I'm always very skeptical of studies because studies usually have a point of view that they're trying to prove one way or the other. They're usually funded by someone that's trying to, that has an agenda and is maybe trying to prove a point. So I'm always very skeptical of this because for every study, as soon as you get hyped on one study and you're like, look at this, and then you look for an alternative study, there's like the counterpoint to it is out there too, and they're both valid, and you're like, what does that mean? Again, it's so individual, but I think that anecdotally, that artists are drawn to it because this is what it is. It's a tool for divergent thinking, right? There's convergent thinking, which is coming together and doing plan A to B to C in a logical, straightforward fashion and a straight line. Creativity is divergent thinking. It's thinking outwardly. It's reaching out into the unknown and exploring the unknown, reaching around in the dark, swimming down to the depths, swimming around unexplored territory. It's a completely different form of thinking. And whatever effect, this plant, this ancient plant that we have had a relationship with since the beginning of our existence, and it has existed before that, right? But we have a real symbiotic relationship with this plant. It's one of human beings' favorite plants. We've had it since the beginning of time. We've cultivated it. We've had this relationship since the beginning of our time with this plant, and it's been an ongoing communication between plant intelligence and animal intelligence. And as soon as I started smoking it, I really started it changed the way my brain worked. It immediately, everything that didn't make sense to me about life started to make sense. And the way it affected the voices in my mind, the thoughts in my mind, it immediately made me realize that I needed to stop letting life happening. When I was, I started smoking about every day when I was about 17, probably about the same for Luke. And we were like juniors. This was like coming off breaking both my feet, going into junior year of high school. And he might have even been away that year. He might have even been in Santa Cruz that year. I can't remember. He did some switching around and stuff. But when I was very confused before that, and very little of reality made sense to me, right? I was constantly being told I was wrong, constantly being told I was a fuck up, being told I had ADHD, severe depression, not severe depression, severe ADHD and chemical depression and migraines, and my parents put me in sleep studies and put me in therapy and put me on pills, right? It's like you don't like school sucks, and instead your parents grind you into it and go, here, take this methamphetamine so you can sit there and pay attention to this boring ass fucking bullshit, right? Honestly, that's a mistake, people. My parents were doing the best they could. They thought they were doing the right thing. In my case, it was the worst thing you could possibly do. Thank God I got out of there. I was on other medications, other pharmaceutical crazy medications, Adderall, Ritalin, Zoloft, which, me and Luke like snorted and imbibed like an entire freaking bottle of Zoloft one night and tripped our balls off and walked around all through town and shit. Like, not only were we taking these, my parents were prescribing me these absolutely destructive lab cooked up pills to try to just get me to sit in school and pay attention. But, not only is it bad enough to just be taking them as prescribed, we were also abusing them because we didn't give a fuck. Nothing made sense to us. But the weed came in and showed me that it told me that I could live a creative lifestyle. It told me that it was possible. It showed me that other people didn't know what they were talking about, and I didn't need to listen to them. And it allowed me, the reason I smoke when I work is because it basically shuts down the divergent thinking capabilities of my brain and leaves me completely in a room with with my convergent way of thinking, right? With my plan A to plan A to B to C, and leaves me in alone with all my creative thinking, with all my convergent, with all my divergent thinking, good Lord, with all my divergent thinking, right? To just play with, right? The parents are gone, the rules are gone, the expectations are gone, the second guessing is gone, the anxiety is gone, the stress is gone, everything's gone. I'm not a stressed and anxious person anyway, which I probably do attribute a lot to the THC and the CBD and all these great compounds in this plant. But that's the reason that it works for me, and I know what it looks like without it, and I know what it looks like with it, because periodically I take tolerance breaks, and there's days, when I do the workshop, I don't smoke, because again, I need more divergent, analytical, top of mind, God damn it, I keep mixing them up, convergent thinking. I need more like literal thinking when I'm doing the workshop, because I need to be very analytical with people, looking at their work, breaking it down, listening to them carefully, reacting to what they're saying, rather than, when I'm smoking and I'm getting out there in the divergent realm, you're in there in a daydream. You're just dreaming, you're daydreaming. It starts to soften the edges of what you think of as reality. It starts to undermine that cultural programming that's been put in your brain, right? It softens that stuff up. So, I don't know what this study is about or whatever, but for me, anecdotally and through very scientific study, right, as with me as the control, or whatever the scientific terminology is, it is 100% proven that I am put into a much more creative frame of mind. Now, again, there's tons of other variables, right? If I'm not hydrated, if I'm not well slept, then I'm not going to be creative that day. I'm going to be very much stuck in a high mind place. I won't have access to that really juicy good stuff. I won't be making those abstract connections, And the interesting thing about the effect, especially for smoking, something about smoking where you smoke, it's a little different than the slow onset and the dreaminess of the edibles, which I absolutely love. But when you smoke and you vape and it hits you instantly, something happens where it like explodes your brain like a nuclear creative explosion, and as your brain is reforming, it makes very strange, unorthodox connections, right? Non sequitur connections. And that's where I think so much creativity is. Seeing things in a different way. It allows you, initially I wouldn't even, sometimes I wouldn't even smoke while I worked. I would go back and forth. A lot of times in the beginning of my career, if I was on a tight deadline, I didn't trust the process enough to just smoke through the whole thing. So I would do my work for the day and I would smoke, and then I would look at my work, because that allowed me to see it from a different perspective. It would see it like it was someone else's work, because it would take me out of my normal frame of thinking. It would jump the track, and it would allow me to see it from a completely different set of eyes, and then it would allow me to make those breakthroughs. So now I just do that in real time as I work. Now I've integrated it into my process a lot more, and now I just flow with it, and there's really no stress or anxiety, or even with deadlines. It's just like, this is going to get done when it's going to get done. And of course, deadlines are important, and that's where the preparation, that's where the organization, that's where all these other professional practices come in too. But so does weed equal creativity? No, not necessarily. But when you smoke weed, does it put your brain in a, let's make sure we do the right one, divergent way of thinking rather than a convergent way of thinking? Absolutely, right? I always joke, I say I smoke till I can't even write an email anymore, and then I know I'm ready to work, right? Because now your brain is fully in a fully in a divergent zone. God damn it. So I can't even see, like, when you smoke, it's like, sometimes this is why I don't do the workshop on it, because then my brain is minced up right now, right? My brain is trying to make these connections like, so that's what some people think, like, oh, you're dumb when you're stoned, you're spaced out, or this and that. No, you're just you've switched over to a creative way of thinking, right? Rather than a strictly analytical, logical way of thinking. And I think logic is a bit of a false premise. I think logic is a bit of what weighs our culture down, right? Thinking of things literally, trying to think that there's one answer to something, that things can be one dimensional, that things could be black or white, that things could be good or bad, that things could be right or wrong. These are very literal things. Thinking of how we made laws and interpret laws. The universe doesn't work that way. The universe works in an ever-changing, ever-evolving, often illogical. It adheres much more to the rules of creativity and brainstorming and evolution than it does to a logical framework, right? So I think you get more in touch by getting in touch with this plant. I feel like I am just like when, if you've ever taken mushrooms, you can really start to feel connected to where you are, especially if you're in the woods, right? All of a sudden, that tree's not just a tree. All of a sudden, you understand and feel that that tree is alive. It has its own reality. It has its own point of view. It has its own personality, and you can start to feel that. And that's not an illusion. That's real. You're really starting to connect on that more fundamental level with the other life forms around you, right? Mushrooms takes you into that realm because mushrooms, we are on a mushroom planet. All plants are tied in and connected through these mushrooms. So are we. Fungus is like the common denominator of this planet, right? So that brings you into that realm. The weed realm is close to that because it is a hallucinogen. If you take enough of it, it can take you there, but it's a lighter version of that. It's a more daily functional version of that, where if you were to be absolutely tripping every day and completely way out in that deep creative water, you're so untethered from other people's reality that, you will have trouble interfacing with them. So weed is a nice medium where you can get in that creative frame of thinking, but on a short enough time span and in a mild enough way, in a controlled enough way, in a predictable enough way that you can use it as a performance enhancer, right? So that's the way I think about that. There's a lot we could do on it, right? But I think that answers the question right off the top. So do you feel more creative when you're stoned than you actually are? Who's to say, right? But I will say that, I've really put this to the test, and I'd be interested to hear what Daddy Ball Scout would say about it. Maybe he could throw up a little video of his own and break it down from his perspective. I would love to hear what y'all think. Throw up a little video, break it down from y'all's perspective, right? Let's hear a little you for breakfast, right? I'd love to get some dialogues going. If this makes you think of anything, ask your questions in the comments. Of course, get your copy of the Lost Forest coloring book today. If you made it this far in the video, you must be a fan and you must pick it up if you don't have it already. And if you do, pick up a copy to support your boy and give it to a friend. You give it for the holidays, right? Holidays coming up. Start to stock up on these bad boys. Give them out. Put them under the tree. You know what I'm saying? So there we go. A little shrimp for breakfast. And truly remember, y'all, we have more in common than we have in conflict with each other, with every single living creature, especially humans, the most in common with them. Probably the next in common with whatever these humanoid, extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial creatures are. Those will be the next most in common with them. But we have so much in common with each other than we have in conflict. Don't focus on the conflict. Focus what we have in common. Do not feed into this brainwashing. This is done by corporations to make more money, to get more power. We live in a corporatocracy. Do not fall victim to it. Check out the book, Weapons of Mass Instruction. It will fuck you up. It will blow your mind. It will make you understand the way things have been set up very much on purpose, that actually nothing is broken, but it's functioning exactly how the people in charge want it to function, and they have everything invested in keeping it that way. And if you want to change it, you have to enact that change yourself in your own daily life, and I am here to remind you of that, right? Yeah! And if you want to pick up that merch to support your boy, look at this one. This may be one of my favorite pieces of all time. Definitely the dopest shirt that we got in the shop. So check that out. Again, we're going to be fucking moving some merch for the holidays, go ahead and get yourself some to warm up for it. You know what I'm saying? And share this, comment, and sign up for the workshop. Y'all, shrimp for breakfast.